Connors, Degrassi, Unpopular Opinions. Hey there, Heather, ho there. It's Jeff Cutter W. Welcome you to another Degrassi Unpopular Opinion. Now, of course, this is opinion number 101. I did tell you in the 100 video that I was going to go through all my 100 unpopular opinions / hot takes as video 101, but that's actually false. That is more for the main Degrassi channel, like my main Degrassi channel, Degrassi shooting and other Degrassiisms. So I thought about it and did I really cover a lot of stuff to do with the Rick Murray situation? And did I cover some good Degrassi unpopular opinions / hot takes? And one major video storyline that I did in my regular channel, the Degrassiisms and not CDUO, as I call it, was the fact about Rick being off scot-free and all that. And I always wanted to do a Degrassi unpopular opinion part of this whole story, because I know that a while ago I talked about a Reddit post that said, why was Rick allowed to come back to the school, no strings attached? And it was like a comedy of errors and such. So let me recap. So Rick in season 3 was introduced as this shy person who really took a shine to Terry. Terry and Rick were happy together. Unfortunately, Rick became a little controlling and a little jealous that Terry might fall for Jimmy instead of him. So he tries to ruin Terry's livelihood for some reason. He's kind of jealous prick. So anyhow, that gets Terry to think Rick very negatively. And Rick is, of course, upset that Terry listens to Paige instead of him. And basically wants Terry stopped seeing Paige because Paige is poisoning her mind. Terry refuses and Rick accidentally shoves her against a wall. Terry's okay, and Terry and Rick finally break off. However, in the episode Don't Dream It's Over, I think it's the 17th episode of season 3, what ends up happening is that there's a road trip. Spitter and Paige are going together, as are Jimmy and Hazel. Terry's invited too, but Terry says, I don't have a boy to go with. Hazel says, it doesn't matter, you'll go with your friends, that's good enough. However, Terry doesn't know much. And then during a acting trust exercise, Terry and Rick are unfortunately paired up with each other. But they both said, for the sake of argument, let's just do this for the school thing. And then they find out that they're perfect for each other. And once again, Terry's now got someone to take with the road trip. Unfortunately, Jimmy, Spinner, and the rest are uneasy and try to keep an eye on Terry and 24/7, if you will. Unfortunately, Rick pisses off Paige so much that Rick walks away from Paige, and Terry runs after Rick. Rick tells Terry not to go near Paige ever again because, Paige is poisoning her mind. And Terry says, yeah, it's just Paige, but don't worry about it. And then he accidentally shoves her head onto a rock. Terry falls into a coma in a sense, and Rick has blood on his hands. Spitter and Paige find Terry and Rick. Rick has the blood. Rick runs off. Spitter almost gives chase, but then realizes that they need to get Terry safe and sound. So, of course, Spitter and Paige are upset over the fact that Terry is in the hospital and Rick doesn't care to see her in the hospital. And then when Rick is outside in his mom's car with some stuff, Spitter goes up to Rick and says, what are you doing? She's in the hospital. Do something about it. And of course, Rick's mom pushes Spinner and Paige away from Ricky. And Spinner says, I'm just like him. I'm so full of anger. And Paige says, no, you're not. So, of course, we think we see the last of Rick, which was great. Now, unfortunately, though, Rick comes back in season 4. It's not the first episode. It's like the 3rd episode or the 4th. I think it's officially the 4th because the 2-parter with Paige's rape trial was a 2-parter. And then you get the one with Marco versus Alex in the election. And then you got yourself Mercy Street. So in Mercy Street, Rick comes back, seemingly no strings attached. And Paige and her friend group are upset. More so with the fact that the school is not doing anything about it. There's a monster in our school, Paige says to Emma, and nobody's taking and no one's helping us out. And then, of course, the Orange Ribbon campaign trying to get Rick out failed miserably. He ends up staying at the school. He still gets bullied and beaten up, and then nobody is willing to give Rick a chance until he leaves the school for good. So, of course, the rest of the SSA is history. So, obviously, I was stopping it at a certain point because, yeah, after Mercy Street, you kind of see the pieces of Rick's behavior and all that. With the simple fact that, little by little, his mind was breaking and he was living in his own fantasy world and all that. And then, ironically, Rick would be failed by the administration that was kind of protecting him, quote unquote, protecting him. However, to make a point, I have to say this. Rick coming back to school was like, what the hell was going on? Now, of course, truth be told, I did not see this first run because in season 4, that was the year I moved to Kitchener right here and gone to school for computer programming. And I really try to keep my mindset towards computer programming. Spoiler alert, it took longer than normal to get my diploma. And that was just it, a freaking diploma. Regardless of that, I saw season 3 in my gap year before going to college. So, yeah, I was hoping that Rick was going to be, imprisoned and all that. And maybe Rick was suspended or expelled. Little did I know that was incorrect. So, basically, the main question is why Rick was allowed at the school. And the unpopular opinion / hot take is that it was simply impossible for Rick to be charged because of so many big mistakes. Now, truth be told, I was anticipating doing an unpopular opinion on why Terry and or her dad may have been the cause for why Rick didn't get charged and all that. I guess you can kind of add that in, like an AKA situation. But the fact of the matter is that, it was weird. I mean, I feel like this is just a question of when it happened. Like, not within the school year, but when, as in what year it happened. Now, bear in mind that things in 2004 were a whole lot different than 2021. So, yeah, in 17 years, things have changed. Somehow, some things haven't changed and all that. So, the simple fact is that we never got to know if Rick was criminally charged with anything whatsoever. Because, he left in season 3 with his mom and he didn't come back, so we figured that justice was served. Rick was fucked over. But then season 4, he comes back, no strings attached. It's like, what the fuck, man? So it's a puzzle. Why Rick stayed the course? Why Rick was still at Degrassi and all that. Now here's what we do know is that in the freaking deleted scene, that stupidly CTV and Nickelodeon, or T-Nick, I guess it is in the US, did not have first run. It's part of the deleted scenes. Because Marco and Alex, after being student council president and vice president, respectively, in the previous episode, decided to talk to Raj about why he thinks Rick should stay in. However, Raj says Terry's at a private school and I can't comment on her affairs. And then basically they said, but he heard Terry. To the best of my knowledge, he has not been charged with anything. And until a student gets a criminal charge, he or she will study at my school, like it or not. It's like, why the hell did we put in a deleted scene? Why couldn't they just squeeze it in to the finished product? Like the Mercy Street. I mean, yeah, JT with the penis pump and all that. Okay, decent subplot, but you could have squeezed time off that and then put the whole thing. Because the fact of the matter is, not only does this, it's a slap in the face thinking that, okay, what's going on? But the fact of the matter is, it actually would have given Raditch a bit of insight into Raditch's mind, is that, maybe he had no choice. Maybe with a lack of criminal charge, he had to let Rick back. Maybe Raditch had a feeling that Rick would be back, but it was never established. So of course Rick comes in, no strings attached. Raj yells at Emma for her stupid causes and all that, and Rick thinks that now he easily has Raj in his corner and no one can touch him. Although Emma says, "Yeah, at Degrassi, but we're off school grounds." So the fact of the matter is that that's what we do know, but it's only because of a deleted scene. What do we know that wasn't really a deleted scene? We didn't know much. We just knew that Rick was back all willy-nilly. Nobody said anything on the fact that maybe Rick had been a criminal charge and all that. But no, that's not what happened. So what we are led to believe is that, the school may not have cared enough about Rick, or the fact is maybe just maybe, the era issue. Now, as many people know, a couple of months ago, I did a video on Devin Selvey and how his situation in Hamilton, real life situation, of course, was similar to the Rick Murray situation, like in the Degrassi universe. And the one major factor is that Devin Selvey's mom knew about the bullying, yet the school didn't do a damn thing about it. And I thought we were past that after the 2004 thing, after the Rick Murray timeline, which was going to probably guilt the schools in real life to say, oh, wait a minute, the administration could be responsible for all this stuff. But the simple fact is, yes, you can blame Raj for the fact that maybe Rick was not back at the school. You can blame Raj for the fact that he didn't tell the students in an assembly or over the video system about why Rick is back. His hands, he could have said his hands were tied and he basically said no criminal charges. But there might have been a reason why Raj didn't say it. It's possible Raj didn't say that because he was worried that now students were going to rush to the police station, force Rick to have a criminal charge, and then basically undermine him. He unfortunately has this whole jaded personality. After season 2 and his fight with Emma on the genetically modified foods / free speech movement, which I think was why Raj said this isn't your stupid causes, stupid crusades. And then he still has the grudge with Emma about that because Emma called his policies out in front of the whole school in the video system. And so Raj may have thought that he needed to make sure that he says, I'm in charge, you're nothing. And that's probably what he did. That's my guess. So the fact of the matter is that, Raj wasn't listening to the students and all that. And he was worried that, this criminal charge, and then Raj would have had to, take Rick out. But Raj said everyone deserves a second chance. I applaud that effort. Everyone deserves a second chance, but sometimes it doesn't work out. And did Rick prove anything to anyone that he changed? No. Some people said that maybe if he wasn't bullied, he might have changed. That's a maybe, but everything's results driven. He didn't give much results and all that. And only a small group of people believed him and protected him, like Jimmy, Toby, and Emma. And Sean, for that matter, maybe. But the fact of the matter is, the biggest reason why is the criminal system, which may have its faults. Now, everyone knows about the Paige rape thing in season 4 and how it represented the all too real reality, even in 2021, that sometimes rape cases are thrown out because of lack of evidence. And that's why Paige lost her rape case to Dean, even though that she had good stuff. She was on the stand. She did okay. It's like, wasn't the stuff she told Solveig admissible in court? It's kind of pathetic, don't you think? But the fact of the matter is that, the justice system doesn't work out. It's kind of biased in a sense and racist too. There are certain things in the Canadian justice system that don't help people of minorities and stuff. But this is not what we're talking about. We're talking about the judicial system as a whole. Because that statement in season 4 that the system was flawed of Paige's rape case was a chasm of what the justice system was. I mean, if Rick was charged with something, then, he would have had a trial, he would have had a lawyer, and the lawyer may have done a good job in proving that it was just an accident. I mean, there's a lot to go over. Number 1 is hearsay. Because remember, the only people to see Terry hurt are Rick, Terry herself, of course, Spitter, and Paige. Just those four people. And, Paige must have spread gossip and all that. And Spinner says, I know what happened to Snake. And Snake says, well, there's not much we can do about it. Number two is the simple fact of Terry being a witness. Could Terry have been, what condition was Terry in? Terry seemed to be okay in a sense when Ashley visits her in the hospital. But, well, she's alive for one thing. But the fact is, what about her mental capacity? Rick's lawyer would definitely have said that Terry's mental capacity may have diminished and that, maybe Terry has blackouts and has memory problems. Her memory might be fuzzy. That's why Rick could be saved in a sense. I think that Rick would have had a lawyer who would have saved Rick's butt. And of course, the main thing is lack of a criminal charge. The police didn't have much to go on and all that. I mean, to me, it always bugs me why Terry, or even Terry's dad for that matter, or even Spinner and Paige, didn't put a criminal charge on Rick. That's kind of pathetic, don't you think? Although I do figure that the only reason why Spinner and Paige didn't do it is because Rick was pulled out of school by his parents. And, Rick was out of the picture and they never saw him again. And they figured that, that's justice enough. But they should have pressed on. They should have at least attempted it. If you attempt to try to destroy Rick and it fails, at least you attempted it. And at least you didn't, sit back and wait for the justice system to help you out, which it failed miserably. You just can't do that, in a sense. You've got to push for it. If it doesn't work out, at least you tried, and at least you can't blame yourself. Because at least you pushed yourself to do it. But no, they fucked everything up. Everything got fucked to the core. Pardon my language, but that's the way it is. So here's the situation at hand. Is that, did Terry and or her dad screw up things by not coming clean and not pressing a criminal charge against Rick? As much as Terry is beloved, and Terry's dad was beloved, unfortunately, I have to say it's unpopular, but I'm going to say yes. But it's not a concrete yes. It's more of a yes, but there were a few strings attached. The simple fact, guys, is that Terry, her dad, Spitter, or Paige should have, or all four of them at least, should have put a criminal charge on Rick and see where the justice system is. The justice system would have to deal with their own failures in a sense. But I feel that Rick got lucky and all that. I just wish, that after season 3, I stopped watching Degrassi because of my college time. And I figured, okay, Rick's off the show forever. And then I find out he's back on the show. I actually watched the season 4 episode, but it had nothing to do with Rick whatsoever. I got enamored with it years later. And by 2017, I wanted to make a manifesto about the whole Rick Murray situation. And then by 2018, I started doing posts on Degrassi Reddit and then just kept updating them. And if it wasn't for Not a Vampire and usually Eric and the Degrassi and the Social Disease Degrassi podcast, practically, I would have been so old school, it was going to be insane. I mean, I am 36. So, regardless, yeah, they changed my mind about things. And the Degrassi Reddit community helped me realize this stuff. So, bottom line is that Rick getting off scot-free was a comedy of errors. It was Spinner, Paige, Terry, and Terry's dad not pressing criminal charges. The incident being done off school grounds, which means Radich had his hands tied in a sense. Radich not questioning the school board or the police's thing, saying he has no criminal charges. Radich should have questioned himself and just gone with his gut. And, of course, Terry's mental capacity. Was she prone to blackouts? Was she prone to memory problems or fuzziness? It's possible. But it was never established what Terry was like. They talked about her in season 4, but she did nothing. Nothing happened past that point. I just wish we knew what Terry's ideals were like. I just wish I could see Christina Schmidt deal with it. But Degrassi people probably tossed her out. Pathetic, don't you think? How dare you do that to a fellow Waterloo Oxford alum? Anyway, I'm Jeff Diamond. Thanks for watching.